Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about Magic, Commander, and anything else as I try to navigate this crazy world. Now, for this week, I did want to talk about some of the secret lair drops, but I don't necessarily want to go through all of the secret lair drops, so I'm just going to talk about the couple that I might be interested in. And we're going to start that off with the Phyrexian Faves. That comes with 5 cards that all have the Phyrexian text. It's a Blighted Agent, a Crick Son of Yawgmoth, Glistener Elf, Batterskull, and Inkmoth Nexus. I really enjoy the Phyrexian script on cards, as long as you know what the card does, which is a whole nother conversation. The only other secret lair that I'm actually have any interest in is City Styles. That one also comes with 5 cards. It's Sakashima the Imposter, Massacre Girl, Azusa Lost But Seeking, Teysa Karlov, and Paradise Mantle. And I'd be lying if I didn't say the main reason I want this is because of the art for Teysa Karlov and Massacre Girl. I really, really enjoy just that aesthetic, and the rest of it's just gravy, if you ask me. But yeah, that's kind of all I want to talk about when it comes to the secret lairs, because they're easily accessible enough that if you want to see what's really in them, all you have to do is go to Google and search for MTG Secret Lair, and it'll pull up their website. Stuff like that. Now, I have still been avoiding Twitter and the online anything when it comes to Magic and D&D and other things, because I'm just trying to survive at this point. What's the best way to put this? I would like to drive my car for more than 3 months at a time. Yeah, so that's about where I am. I haven't been playing much Commander past, the Guardian Project League that I'm in. I did attend a Two-Headed Giant pre-release for Phyrexian Will Be One with my cousin. And yeah, we had a good time. But I don't really want to talk about the Phyrexia stuff I'm doing until I actually sit down and go through it and do it. So yeah, this part's just going to be a quick little, and I'll see you in the next part. I'll be right back. I just want to take a minute to tell you about my Patreon. I know times are hard for everybody, and I know it isn't easy to shuffle around bills and stuff. Believe me, I know that. But if you would like to help support the podcast, you can find the links to my Patreon in my link tree, which is always put into the description of either the video or the audio, wherever you're listening to it. It would really mean the world to me. Honestly, I'm just struggling to make ends meet most weeks. But that's it. That's all. If you want to help, the links will be where you can find them. And welcome back. Now, I mentioned that I've been playing in the Guardian Project League, and for the first month we were doing upgraded precons, and I went with the Necron precon from the Warhammer 40k stuff, and I ended up building it out completely after the first month of the league, and I just kind of want to talk about that. So I decided to run Anraker the Traveler as my commander. He's 4 and a black for a 4/4 Necron, and whenever he attacks, you may cast an artifact spell from your hand or graveyard by paying life equal to its mana cost rather than paying its mana cost. Now, from the original deck, I do have 2 other legendary creatures. The first one being the face commander, which is Sarek the Silent King. 1 and 3 black for a 3/4 necron with flying, and whenever he attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact, creature card, or vehicle card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. And the third one being Imhotep the Stormlord. 2 black for a 3/3 necron. Whenever one or more artifact cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2 black necron warrior artifact creature tokens. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +2/+2 and menace until end of turn. So, starting with the lands, it was a pretty obvious to add Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Even though I cut most of the cards that had a ton of black pips in their mana costs, I still need to make a ton of mana for when I'm trying to cycle through cards. Another way I'm going to do that is with Extraplanar Lens, 3 mana for an artifact. It has imprint. When it enters, you remove a land you control from the game, and whenever a land with the same name as the imprinted card is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of his or her mana pool for any color the land could produce. So because of that card alone, we're running 26 snow-covered swamps. And for the most part, that kind of covers up where the land wants to be at. We do have different things like Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds and Field of Ruin and Demolition Field, but for the most part, it's mostly basic. And now getting into like the main theme I was going for, it's artifact recycling, I guess would be the best way to put it. And that kind of starts with sacrifice outlets. So we have things like Kudoltha Forgemaster, which is a 5 mana artifact creature. It's a 3/5, and you can tap it and sack 3 artifacts to search your library for an artifact card and put it onto the battlefield. Quirkclan Ironworks is a 4 mana artifact, sack an artifact, add 2 to your mana pool. Ashnod's Altar is 3 mana for an artifact, sack a creature, add 2 colors to your mana pool. Arcbound Ravager is a 2 mana 0/0 beast with sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Arcbound Ravager. It also has modular 1. And Altar of Dementia is 2 mana for an artifact, sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into his or her graveyard. I cannot wait for them to reprint this card with updated text that says sacrifice a creature, target player mills cards equal to the power of the sacrificed creature, because that would be so much easier to say. Now, what pairs really well with the sacrifice outlets are the things that are going to let you get things back. So that starts with Scrap Trawler, which is a 3 mana construct for a 3/2. Whenever it or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost. So that one is the best one because it turns all of your artifacts into a Workshop Assistant, which is our next card, which is 3 mana for a 1/2 construct. When it dies, return another artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. We have a Junk Diver, which is a 3 mana 1/1 bird, has flying. When it dies, return another artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And Mirror Retriever, 2 mana 1/1 mirror. Whenever Mirror Retriever dies, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And next up, we have some of the more combo-oriented cards in the deck. The big one, and the only non-artifact creature in the deck, is Marionette Master, 4 black for a 1/3 human artificer. It has Fabricate 3. And whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. Aetherflux Reservoir, 4 mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Pay 50 life to do 50 damage. The main reason this is in here is because Andraker's triggers are going to have us constantly paying life. So this is one of the best ways to get it back, especially if we get one of those combos going where we are sacrificing an artifact to put one back into our hand that we can recast with mana made either from the sacrificed thing or a 0-drop one, and then we just keep cycling and we can go off that way. We do have a Mirrorworks in here, which is a 5-mana artifact. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, put a token that's a copy of it onto the battlefield. It might be a little more win more, but some of the things we can get to have 2 of is just funny. Things like Burnished Heart. When you rip it out of the graveyard with your commander, make a copy with Mirrorworks, and then you have both to sacrifice to get more lands, and you can just repeatedly do that because every time you sacrifice it, you're going to get 2 more lands from each of them. So every turn you're netting like 4 mana and losing 3 life. Right? It's funny with things like Canoptic Spider, which is a 5-mana 4/4 spider. It has flying, and whenever another non-token artifact, creature, or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So you don't draw a card for the token copy that enters, but if you make a token copy of the spider, you're still going to end up drawing 2 cards a turn whenever another artifact creature enters the battlefield. And then we kind of get into the last little part of where I wanted to take this deck. And that's the hyper-aggressive side. And that starts with a Darksteel Forge, which is 9 mana artifact, but artifacts you control have indestructible. But it really settles down to 2 cards. The first one being Steel Overseer, 2 mana, 1/1 construct. You can tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. And Patchwork Automaton, 2 mana, 1/1 construct with Ward 2. And whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Automaton. That's it. It's just, yeah. Without getting into more detail about what else is in the deck, but it's just artifact value, recycling artifacts, and sometimes making an army of 2/2 Necrons. That's it. That's all I got for you. So, yeah. I think I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulpey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.